The NBA Finals are set. Representing the Eastern Conference, the Miami Heat, and representing the Western Conference, the Denver Nuggets. Both of these teams had a different road to get to the NBA Finals. For the Heat, a much more difficult road. They began their playoffs in the play-in tournament as the 7th seed in the East. They lose the 7-8 matchup against the Hawks, putting themselves into a final chance play-in tournament game against the Bulls for the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. And they beat the Bulls. And who would have thought that after beating the Bulls, that was just the beginning of the most improbable run in NBA playoff history. The 8th seeded Miami Heat, they made quick work of the 1 seed, the Bucks. They beat them in 5 games. Then in round 2, they beat the Knicks. It took 6 games to get it done, but they got it done. And in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics, they got a 3-0 lead. But the Celtics, they came roaring back. They kept fighting. They won 3 straight, forced a Game 7. But in Game 7, the Heat absolutely dominated, putting themselves in the NBA Finals with a chance to redeem themselves from 2020 in the bubble. For the Nuggets, a much more easier road. They made quick work of the Timberwolves, beat them in 5 games. They got out to a 2-0 lead against the Suns in the second round, but then the Suns, they came roaring back. They won the next 2 games. Then the Nuggets absolutely dominated games 5 and 6. And then in the Western Conference Finals, they made quick work of LeBron James and the Lakers. And now the Heat and Nuggets square off in the NBA Finals. And let me tell you, I was so conflicted on who to predict to win this series. 1 minute, I was leaning one direction, and the next minute, I was leaning the other direction. And I just kept teetering several times until I made my pick on who to win this series less than 5 minutes before hitting record. I was that undecided, as there are a lot of storylines going into this final series. For the Heat, Tyler Hero has been cleared to return to action, and it's being reported that he could come back for Game 3. So that would be a big boost for the Heat. Although Caleb Martin, he stepped up for the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals, especially in Game 7. The leading scorer in that game, 26 points. Can Bam Adebayo match up to Nikola Jokic? I think if Bam Adebayo, if he can step up and match up to Jokic, force Jokic to struggle a bit, I think the Heat have a chance. But I think the one thing that gives the Heat a strong chance to win this series is the finals experience the Heat have compared to the Nuggets. Eric Spoelstra is coaching, and I believe it's his 6th NBA Finals. And I think this playoff run has shown that Eric Spoelstra is arguably the best coach in the NBA. And the last 2 playoff runs the Heat have had, it proves that Eric Spoelstra did not just benefit off of having LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. He has shown his coaching ability throughout these last few years. I mean, even last year when the Heat, they were just short of making it back to the finals. The Heat are in their 2nd NBA Finals in the last 3 seasons. Almost got to 3 finals in a row. But I really want to know, what would Jimmy Butler's legacy be if he won the NBA Finals? I think of Jimmy Butler as more of the Madison Bumgarner of the NBA. A player that doesn't really get talked about as much in the regular season, but once it turns to the playoffs, it's all about him. He is the talk of the playoffs. And Jimmy Butler is once again the talk of the playoffs. Now, where would Nikola Jokic rank if the Nuggets won the NBA Finals? Well, Nikola Jokic already has multiple MVPs. If he were to win a Finals, I think that could boost him to being easily maybe a top 20, 25 player of all time. As Nikola Jokic, he has got close to, if not more than a decade left in his career. As there is plenty of time for him to be one of the greats, as he's already one of the best players, perhaps even the best player in the NBA, as many felt like, including myself, felt like he should have won MVP. But that was a battle between Jokic and Embiid throughout the entire season. But I just think this playoff run for the Nuggets, it's showing that Jokic should have won MVP. But that's just my opinion. And finally, we are at the point of the video that you're here for. My predictions. So I'm going to go game by game here. In game one, I like the Nuggets. The Nuggets have yet to lose on their home floor in the playoffs, and I think that continues. Now, another thing that needs to happen for the Heat, if they're going to win this series, they need to win at least one time in Denver, which it's going to be a very difficult task considering the Nuggets, they're undefeated this postseason on their home floor. But in game two, I think the Heat bounce back and tie the series, and they steal home court advantage. I think this game two, this has a Jimmy Butler 35-point game and Bam Adebayo matching up really well against Nikola Jokic written all over it. I just have a strong feeling the Heat win game two. Game three, I think the Nuggets, they take back home court advantage and they lead the series 2-1. However, in game four, I think the Heat, they come back and tie the series. As the Heat show, once again, that throughout the last 3 years, actually, the Heat are a team that just will not go away. They're a team that's not going to be a pushover. Game five, I like the Nuggets to win on their home floor. And in game six, I like the Nuggets to close it out and win their first NBA Finals in franchise history. The Heat come up just short once again. However, this series, in my mind, it can go either way. I know a lot of people think that the Nuggets are a much more superior team than the Heat. But I think the Heat, they have the playoff experience. They've got the coaching. I think they got the depth to beat the Nuggets. But I just think Nuggets in 6 games. In 1 minute, I thought it was Heat in 6, the Nuggets in 6, and Heat in 6, Nuggets in 7, Heat in 7. But I'm settling in on Nuggets in 6. I think there's no way the Heat get swept in this series. I think it goes at least 6 games. But my Finals MVP is obviously Nikola Jokic. But if the Heat win the NBA Finals, I think Jimmy Butler wins MVP without a doubt. Even though if the Heat do win this series, it's going to be from Bam Adebayo holding his own against Nikola Jokic and Eric Spoelstra's coaching ability. So comment your predictions for this NBA Finals down below. Do you like the Heat or do you like the Nuggets? And who do you like to win Finals MVP? Until next time, have a wonderful day and take care of yourself and enjoy the NBA Finals. I hope we get an absolute thrilling NBA Finals. Just an NBA Finals that is really hard fought to the bitter end. So we will see what happens at this NBA Finals. It all begins Thursday night.